All right, guys, welcome back to Saint Society. You have myself, Jochik, Justman, and Jagad, and then we have our guest today.
Advil?
So we're going to be talking about One Piece and JJK. We're in Japan. We're on the train. So if our audio's not the best, that's why. Chapter 1086.
Yeah, 1086.
Okay.
So they're talking about how the reverie came to a close and King Cobra's, I guess you say murder or
Yeah.
assassination.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how Wapol was able to get away, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense.
I thought it was funny. I thought that was pretty funny.
So we actually get some panels of CP0 holding Vivi's face up and even Sabo's, and they're looking for where these guys are because they stowed away in Morgan's ship. And then you have Bonnie with them as well. Sabo's kind of like half dead.
Yeah, Sabo got murked out, as expected. I mean,
And,
what else did you expect to happen?
But what's kind of crazy is the Gorosei talking about Sabo.
Mm-hmm.
When they're like, the Sabo fellow, another man who bears a checkered fate. No one has led a life more affected by the deed. So, just goes to show how crazy Sabo is. He be all up in it.
Just move on, bro.
So you have Emo talk about Vegapunk's creation, the mother frame.
Yeah.
Where did he keep going, actually?
The mother frame is the shadowy thing that we saw in the sky over Lelouchia Kingdom that
So
destroyed it.
So it's not an ancient weapon. I was right saying that it was Vegapunk's creation.
I don't like that it's a Vegapunk creation. I don't like that it's a Vegapunk creation.
That's fair.
I
kind of feel like it's might still be an ancient weapon, but I think it wasn't functioning, and I think Vegapunk might have been working on it.
Keep going.
Just turn it around. Also, they were planning to. This is the first time they tested it, and they're planning to test it somewhere else. And then Himu's the one who chose Lelouchia.
Yeah.
So I think it's because he knew Sabo guys would be running over there to survive, so he wanted to get them there.
But the dialogue said that they're close. As in, that could mean multiple different things. As in, like, are they close to finding out? Are they close in proximity? Right?
It is
So
close with the new Viz translation.
it says they're close or it's close.
It's close. It is close.
It is close. Okay, I guess that means close in proximity then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we also get a panel or spread of all 5 of the Gorosei.
Yeah. And
So
reveals of their names too.
So Saint J. Garcia Saturn is the god of science and defense. You got Marcus Mars, who's the head of environment. We got Topman Warkery, which is the godhead of justice. And you have Ethan Barron, which is the godhead of finance. And then the last one is Saint Shepherd Jupiter, who is the godhead of agriculture. So now we can kind of think about, what their roles are and maybe what powers they might have as well.
Like in the previous chapter, which we didn't cover, we saw all of them transform into shadowy figures.
Yeah.
I know these guys thought that they have mythical Zoan types, like devil fruits. I personally don't think that. I think they were reverting back to their original forms. They're originally not human, and so they're actually something else. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe they're devils.
Do you think that they're devils with human fruits, or
So if we don't take Vegapunk's theory or his idea of where devil fruits come from as fact, right? Like if we go back to the OG, how it was like a soul in a devil fruit, right? Then where does that soul come from that dwells within the devil fruit, right? So then I think it comes from like someone died and they then become the devil fruit, which were these devils, which is what the Gorosei are, like the original.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that's why they when they got attacked they turned into these shadowy figures. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I think it makes sense if they're mythicals because I think you talked about it yesterday how they primarily only fought with swords and stuff back in the day. Devil fruits weren't like a prominent thing, so it makes more sense if they valued mythical beast devil fruits as like the pinnacle of strength, and especially with like we don't know how long these guys have been alive, so it
but
could play a part in there.
but like in that sense, right? A dragon is a beast.
Yeah.
As in
So
terms of mythical, what's like topping
what's
that?
stronger than a dragon? Yeah.
Yeah, in that sense, right? Unless you have like you try to go into like Egypt mythology, like I don't know, Griffin or
Yeah.
like something like that,
I mean,
right?
That's the thing. It's mythical zone. There's such a big area that they can cover.
Yeah.
It could be so many like there's things that just don't even exist that can be
I mean,
created in there. So
with a dragon being as strong as it is, they showed Nika being way crazier. So it's like there's potential for so much more,
Mhm.
and I think it might relate to what each of their things are. Like,
No, because what would be great to see is if like now that we know like Luffy's mythical Zoan type, right? But if there was somebody else who had like the Wukong fruit, like mythical Zoan Wukong,
yeah,
and like the Monkey King, that'd be sick. And then we have like the character
you create that
inspired
though.
character inspired by versus someone who has the Devil fruit, right?
Isn't Nika already like the monkey supposed to be like a play on the Monkey King though?
How?
Like with like Luffy's inspiration and everything, isn't it supposed to be? I don't know, isn't it supposed to be together?
Like the way his personality is kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
The whole
Was
Joker esque.
Wukong not? Was he also not the sun god? No.
I don't know enough about that for me to answer that.
But also the way Emu says, "I desire Vivi," almost like don't kill her. I think he might need like something in her genes or something to continue something forward. Because the way he said last chapter how Lily had a blunder, why does he need Vivi now?
Because the thing is, right? Like, why don't they just capture Cobra and use him?
Yeah.
Unless this line, because the line is said after Cobra's dead, so it could be because they killed Cobra that they now need Vivi,
Yeah.
right? Because it could be like one of those things where maybe Lily used her DNA to like code or hide something, and only Vivi's like if she's a descendant can open or allow for that to happen, right? But then why didn't they do that earlier? Like they could have kidnapped Vivi as a little kid or kidnapped Cobra earlier on in the series before all these events came through, right?
If we go based off that theory where the parallels with Ryuma and Zoro and Luffy and Nika, and then we have Vivi and Lily, maybe that's why. Because it needs to be like some type of reincarnation or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is. That probably got passed down. We already saw that Shiro, she was one ancient
Mhm.
weapon. Maybe Vivi could be the key to another one.
Or see, there's this other theory that I had watched where this guy was saying that all the ancient weapons are actually living beings.
They're all what?
They're all living beings.
Okay.
So
But
if
Pluton
you
is a
look,
ship.
we don't know that,
Okay.
right? Like anything could be like a ship.
I thought Frankie had the blueprints though.
Yeah, but it could have been like a biological ship, right?
Okay, sure.
So basically, what this theory is saying is like if you look at the Gorosei, if you look at the Gorosei, right, you have Mars, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter and Saturn, right?
Yeah.
All those planets, way back in the day when we thought there was a geocentric solar system, right? Those were the five planets that they thought revolved around the Earth.
Yeah.
But then when post the discovery of like the heliocentric solar
Yeah.
system, that's when they discovered the other three planets,
Yeah.
which are the other ancient weapons, like Poseidon, Uranus, and Pluton, right? Like Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, right? So the theory states that those three, the three ancient weapons, were the ones that like got banded with Sun God Nika, and that they're not actually part of the Gorosei. And then the Gorosei were the ones that like banded with Emu. Emu represents the Earth, and Sun God Nika, obviously the Sun, right?
Do you think each of the Gorosei, instead of being fruits,
They're
they're actually
ancient.
just ancient weapons?
Yeah, that's what the theory was saying. Yeah,
Okay. So would you believe in that theory more,
yeah,
or more that they're mythical zones?
more than mythical Zoan for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we also get it's also, I guess, during the reverie is when they start sending the seraphims for the first time. It wasn't
Yeah,
actually what we saw back in Egghead.
yeah.
So we see Doflamingo, we see Moria, and we see Crocodile, which is really cool. And then you have Sabo just kind of continue their thought, and you have
Heard it here first.
Ivanka.
Those seraphims, I call that.
You have Ivanka kind of go off of what Sabo was saying about Emu, and he talks about how Emu was one of the first 20 kings,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's a chance that they had used a fruit to give him
Like law.
immortality, most likely laws. And we also find out that Dragon found out about the real existence of ancient weapons from Robin. Like before that, they had only thought that it was in myth or something. Like they'd actually never seen one or even confirmed its existence.
And then we get Saint Figurland, right? Garling Figurland, which we've been talking about. Film Red teased it, Figurland. So apparently, this guy somehow related to Shanks, and he was the hero of God Valley, one of the heroes of God Valley. So maybe he worked with Roger and Garb to defeat Exhibit, like rocks, because we've been theorizing how crazy Exhibit was, right?
Yeah. So Viz also did a correction for when they did their translation, and they said that he was actually somebody who made a name for himself during God Valley, which was a theory that we had talked about whether because him being a king, like normally you don't see kings being that strong. So how did he ascend to becoming like a celestial dragon or holy knight afterwards? And I can definitely see it where they're gonna pretend that Roger was actually never part of this incident for God Valley, and that's probably how Garp got his name as the hero.
They also like there's a panel way back of Whitebeard Tawny Shanks, and he's like, every time I see your face, I remember this scar,
Yeah,
and he could be referring to Garling giving him the scar on God Valley.
yeah.
All right, so moving on to
Wait,
Jujutsu Kaisen.
wait.
What?
So there was just a parallel between Shanks and him that we didn't really discuss. So he talks about how if you stand up for people for subhuman scum, you'll sink even lower. So like, but he's kind of talking about if you stand up for fishermen or
Yeah.
anyone that you'll be lower. But with how Shanks' personality is, he keeps weaker people around him because he'll
Like
even fight for them.
he's the exact opposite.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it could
yeah.
be a
But
direct
but
correlation.
I think Justman wanted to bring up a point with Figureland.
Yeah.
No. So basically, he wanted to say,
Recall my memory.
huh?
I blanked out. Recall my
He basically wanted to say how like it's an issue that Shanks is a Figureland, and that if Garling is such a huge, strong person,
and Figureland is that important of a bloodline, it doesn't make much sense to let him roam around free, especially if they know he's a Figureland. And considering the fact that he had a meeting with the Doors, and it just makes even more sense to know that like they already knew that he was one, and if that bloodline commands enough power to just say, yeah, we're gonna execute a celestial dragon, and like just kind of go off on it. Like it didn't seem like that was something that Imusama kind of told him to do. It just kind of was like something that he did off of his own whim.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. It doesn't make sense from a writing standpoint why Shanks has been allowed to just freely roam, knowing that he's part of the Figureland family and what they can do and how, like, I guess
Because the past few chapters, Imu seems very controlling.
Yeah.
Like he wants everything to go the way that he wants it to go, and for like someone like Shanks, who has like a lot of information, is also a Figureland. It doesn't make sense to like just allow him to roam around free. It's we were talking about, okay, what if they're just waiting? He's not doing anything right now. They're just waiting for him to actually do something. But that's a like, I called it a ticking time bomb. Like, why would you wait for the bomb to explode?
Yeah.
Fix the solution. Why not diffuse the solution before the bomb before it even blows? So to me, that doesn't make any sense. Why they ever allowed him to roam free?
They even called Emu like the creator of the world. Like he's like whatever he says is how they're shaping the world, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah, it makes no sense why they'd even let Shanks stay out. So I'm assuming like Oda's gonna have to explain that. That's a very big thing.
Yeah.
Unless Shanks isn't really figur-land.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe he really is the strongest person in the verse and they can't step up to him. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we've been downplaying Shanks a little bit.
Speaking of strongest in the verse, Jujutsu Kaisen.
That make me not just stronger.
Sukuna vs. Gojo. Part 2.
Yo,
And part 3, because we got leaks. But, dude,
yeah, was this part 2?
the whole
The way
chapter starts off with just
the
the
narrating.
fight. It's just like the people watching are just sitting there narrating the fight.
Yeah.
And each person's talking about a specific point of something, like, on whatever's happening. And then
Yeah.
they start talking about domains. And that's where, like, I found, like, the whole situation to be sick. Because when Kisame starts talking about, like, how a domain or open domain would work, it was just perfect.
Yeah, like give me the water, not the bottle.
Yeah.
Or like can you draw on the air without a canvas? Like the way they're explaining how an open domain kind of is.
Yeah.
And like I really think that we're gonna see Gojo tap into like an open domain.
Yeah.
I
So
think that's what he was doing his training for.
yeah. So in this fight, like when we actually get back to Gojo and Sukuna, we see them instantly pop their domains, and at the end of the fight, we see that Gojo lost the domain battle because of his barrier, and Sukuna has an open barrier, and because of his attack, his sure hit, his slashes, it attacked the barrier from the outside and destroyed it.
Or it's weak.
Yeah, domain barriers are weak from the outside. And man, you just see Gojo get slashed in the neck, and it looks
right
like
through the neck.
It looks like it's over.
Insane.
And that's how it cuts.
And that's like the first time we've seen him take damage.
Yeah. So
Also,
just like going off of this chapter, Koji.
but I mean,
just like
what like he wasn't fully actualized
yeah.
or realized because he didn't have the 6 eyes. Yeah.
So now this is where we stop. Like this is where like now we have leaks, but like going off of what we saw off of this, we instantly were like, yo, he's gonna like he's playing the smart. This is a calculated move in a sense from Gojo to actually pop the domains relatively early to see what an open domain actually looks like.
I agree.
It's stated in one of the like volumes, like an in-between page where they kind of talk about points of the character, and they kind of say that Gojo can learn anything by just seeing it. So him just seeing like an actual proper open domain from Sukuna,
he's gonna learn.
He's gonna learn it just immediately. Yeah. Like it's just something that he can just like see it and do it.
Yeah. I think he's because he's more efficient at using his curse technique or his curse energy in general compared to Sukuna. Even though Sukuna has more energy overall, I think he honestly popped this for one is to learn, so he could open the main, but also to expend more of Sukuna's energy. Because eventually there's gonna come a time where they're gonna pop their domain again, and Gojo's is actually gonna beat his instead, and then we're gonna see some crazy shit happen then.
And then we're gonna go a little bit further because we got.
Like, I kind of wonder what, like in the way that Jogo felt it, like how Sukuna is gonna feel, like what he's gonna be thinking and processing in that time, like infinitely. Like getting his perspective on things is always like just really sick. So
the thing is, right? Like Sukuna could potentially pop like a double domain. Like he has Megumi's domain, and then he also has his shrine. And as of right now, we know Sukuna has the most CT in the verse, like curse energy. Sorry, most curse energy in the verse. So
going into the leagues, we start off immediately from where we left off with Gojo's neck being slashed open, and in the next page we see him immediately start to RCT it, so reverse curse technique it, and then we see that Sukuna continuously slashes Gojo, just continuously, just Gojo pouring blood, and he's like at the same time he's reverse curse techniquing, and Gojo in this panel actually states that he's overwhelmingly superior in terms of CT usage. So in that sense, you could also say that we already know that he's like so efficient in curse energy usage. So
And sorry, this is going back to this conversation we had earlier, like prior to this chapter that we just read. We're talking about like, hey, like why are these guys like? Why is everyone just all in this one apartment? Like even the people that they had, the three people that were supposed to be like on the side. So like you had Yuta, Hikari, and Maki. Why are they all in this room like so far away from the battle? Like how are they supposed to? Because our theory was that they were gonna come in and give Gojo some time to survive, right? And now it's like it kind of adds to the theory that he's gonna do an open domain, and he doesn't know what the repercussions are gonna be or like how far out it's gonna go, and especially like with the information he was gathering when he first came out of the seal, he was wondering if the people that had witnessed his domain, if they survived because he had only had it released for like 0.8 seconds or something like that.
0.2
Yeah.
That's basically what I was gonna say. Like, if he pops his domain and everyone's around, since it's an open domain, like what's the range on that? Who will get hit, who won't get hit? And we see in Shibuya where he just tears through like basically half the city or like mad people. It'd be on a bigger scale this time.
So Sukuna actually praised Gojo for surviving, which is, getting praise from Sukuna is something. And then because Gojo is just reverse curse techniquing and trying to buy time, Sukuna goes to hand. So they turns into a hand battle, and then Gojo still continuously healing, and then near the end of the fight, he just grabbed Sukuna when it looked like he was about to lose.
I mean, it looked like a hug. Like he's like, "Come here, son. Let me give you this hug." He hugs him, wraps his legs around his waist, gives him a kiss on the cheek.
Gives him a kiss on the cheek. This is our Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
And then Yuta is now narrating, and he realized that Gojo wasn't actually healing himself, but he actually started healing his CT.
Yeah.
So he wrapped up Sukuna and hits him with a point blank, like curse technique reversal red.
Yeah.
Right to his face, blasting Sukuna back into a shrine.
Do the pose.
Huh?
Do the pose. Hits him with the. Yeah, you can. Hits him with a spirit gun.
It's like if he's out there like, psh. Dude, it looks so sick.
So after Gojo shoots him into the shrine, he starts completely healing himself again, and there's a breakneck speed for Jujutsu.
No way. Wild. That's a wild chapter. Yeah. It's a wild chapter.
This fight's with Gojo.
Like, so last week we thought Sukuna's winning. This week it's the other way around. You're like, Gojo's got it, right? You switching up, bro.
Oh, well,
I still think Sukuna's got it. I still think Sukuna's got it.
I still think Sukuna's gonna win, but like again, no, I think Sukuna's gonna win, but I think Gojo, like we said, like Gojo's gonna like bring him down a level so that the other sorcerers can handle.
Yeah, but that's not what I was saying. I said I think Sukuna's gonna.
Just tear him apart.
No, Sukuna's gonna defeat him. That's what I said.
Oh.
And then you were like, yeah, and then now you're like, no.
No.
So I don't know
What I'm saying is like Gojo's still putting in work the whole way through.
I did not. Did I say he's not?
No, but like that's where we're coming from though. Is that Gojo's gonna put his work in the whole way through?
Yeah.
Because what Sukuna's arsenal is going into this fight, it's higher than what Gojo's perceived is, right?
Because like
then he's gonna show us new shit that we haven't seen from him, and he's gonna bring Sukuna down to
like,
a level where
now-
the other dudes,
now-
so Maki,
Yeah.
Hikari, and Yuta can actually fight
So
him.
like imagine this, right? Because Maharoga, right? We don't know what kind of being it is. Does it even have a brain?
Maharoga?
Yeah. Right? We don't know like if Maharoga has a brain or anything, right? So basically what that means is if let's say it was to get hit by Gojo's like domain expansion, would it even like overload its brain, cause it to be brain dead? And if it did, would it just recover from it and then be immune to his domain expansion? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it acts on its own, so you could say that it's fair. That, like it does have some sort of
Yeah. But like,
ability.
do you think, because it has that doomsday aspect of it, right? So if it gets hit by his like limitless, once it gets hit by it, couldn't it just regen, or like turn the clock and then just be immune to it?
I'm not sure.
Maybe that's the case.
I also just wanted to comment on the fact that Sukuna was using amplification and no techniques to really just fuck up Gojo.
Yeah.
So, looking back at that one panel where Gojo got rid of his technique,
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's because amplification was piercing through it, or what? Or that's still calculated? Like Gojo still like took it off.
When he like clashes hands and he
Yeah.
grabs him, you
Yeah.
see Sukuna be shook too. He
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
expecting
Okay,
that,
yeah.
so
No,
I don't
agree.
think he planned on that hitting.
I was just wondering if it changed your guys' mind on that.
So that's the end of our pod.
It was brief. We
Yeah,
tried to
brief.
keep it short.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. Go to TikTok in the description. Instagram never. Peace.
So peaceful, bro. That's.